Okay, so this is the overview of our class. We're going to be covering the syllabus. So this is Anatomy and Physiology with lab. It is a hybrid course, which means the lecture will be online, everything's online, and the lab is in person. Okay, if you are a Monday lab for me, that is 12 to 2. There's also a Wednesday lab that's 12 to 2. So this is the same syllabus for both. And these are at the Lawrenceburg locations. So a little bit about me. I've been a doctor of chiropractic for 21 years. I've taught high school biology for several years. I've now taught anatomy and physiology for a few years. And I just love being able to teach students about the body. And it has a lot of similarities to my work as being a chiropractor. And I like to help students figure out what they want to do and help them to reach real high in their career choices for later. Okay, my contact information is my email address. Best way to get a hold of me is by email, and I'll always respond within 24 hours during the week, and then on weekends I'll get back to you by Monday morning. Do not use the Blackboard messages within the course because they don't always come over to me and they're very unreliable. And I've had students try that and I don't even realize that I've got anything. So just always go to the email. Email comes straight to my phone. I can usually get back to you really quick. Okay, we're going to skip over some of this stuff. You can read it on your own. I'm going to hit the most important things. All right, let's see. Attendance. Attendance is very important in this class. The content and assignments for lecture are going to be delivered through the online Blackboard. There are no set meetings that you have to be online at a certain time. You just basically go through it and make sure that you're turning in the assignments and everything by the due dates that's on there. You're expected to check Blackboard daily, watch the videos that I post, and complete the assignments by the due dates. So it's not technically self-paced, but you go through that at your own pace, but meet the deadlines with the due dates. Okay. Content and assignments for lab are all in person at our assigned lab. So the attendance for lecture is measured by you watching the videos. If you don't watch the videos, that will make an absence. And attendance is measured in lab through the completion of the lab exercises in person. A failure to attend lab sessions or not complete the lab exercises will result in an absence. All right. For this course, you have to have either a computer or a laptop. It will not work on a Chromebook or just an iPad because you have to use this Respondus lockdown browser in order to take your test and quizzes online. So inside the Blackboard, there's a way to navigate that, and it'll show you how to download those and actually use them. That's going to be a part of our first week assignments. You need to have a webcam and a microphone. The textbooks is Merriam's Human Anatomy and Physiology, 12th edition. You will be getting an e-text on Blackboard, and when you hit that link in there, it should open right up for you. There is a physical copy is optional. If you want to get it, it's at the bookstore. I'm not sure how that works, if they loan them out to you or if you purchase it, but the e-text is really nice. It has a lot of nice tools on there that you can use. The lab manual is going to be in the Blackboard course shell and under lab module. And we go through one lab exercise per week. The visible body tool, this is new. It's just come out like this week. So as I get more information on that, I will push that forward to you guys, but don't worry about that one right now because it's not fully optimized for everything yet. All right, the course schedule. Bio 137 contains both a lab and a lecture. So we will follow the course schedule that's at the very end of this. And we already talked about this stuff. Already talked about all that. Basically, you just have to watch the lab videos, do the assignments. We're going to have 5 modules. This is what we're going to be learning in each module. And on-campus lab. So this course goes by the 20% rule. If you miss 20%, including absences, leaving before the completion of the activity, or arriving late so that portions of the activity or quiz is missed, that will be an absence. Okay, so 3 or more of the labs, so 3 labs in a 16-week semester like we are right now, you'll be asked to drop the class because it's a minimum hourly requirement to take this class. Okay, and that's whether they're excused or not. So if you can schedule something around this lab, do that, because if you hit 3, that's it. Okay. Attendance policies. So this week you will see a no-show assignment. That is required. You just have to go through and answer the questions about the syllabus, turn it in by Thursday of this week, and you will be able to stay in the class. If your student does not do that, they'll be dropped by Friday. Okay, so make sure you're doing that, and there is points in there for you. And so we did that. Lab attendance, we did that. Excused absences. If you have an absence or you miss a due date or a test, you have to notify me by email within 24 hours of the due date to be counted as excused. Okay, students have to provide a verified documentation, doctor's note, some type of proof that you had to miss, and notification to me for it to be considered excused. So these are the things that are normally the only things that are allowed to be excused absences. If you're sick, or if you have a close family member that's sick, and a doctor's note may be required. College approved field trips with advance notice. So if BCTC is taking you on a trip, then you just have to let me know and we'll try to work around that. This sometimes gets a little tricky because we have a lot of dual credit students at the high school. If your high school is out of school and the college is in school, you're expected to be in class. So you would have to bring your own transportation or have someone bring you to the college. So that's where it gets a little tricky because we didn't have school that week. But if the college had school, then you have to make sure that you get to the college. If you have a major religious holiday, just let us know. And by the second week of class, and we'll make arrangements for that. Technological issues are not considered a valid excuse for missing assignments, so don't wait till the last minute to turn them in, because that you could get caught without able to turn them in. All right, going forward, let's see. Okay, so you're allowed to drop the class up until the second Friday after midterm grades are posted without instructor approval. Okay, after that date, you can only withdraw with instructor's permission, and that's pretty much extenuating circumstances. You have some serious illness. It's not just for failing. Okay, so if you're getting a bad grade and you see that you're not going to pass, you need to think about withdrawing before this date, the Friday after midterm. Okay, taking quizzes and stuff. Remote proctoring. Remote proctoring is how you'll be taking your exams and quizzes online. So there's 2 areas in the Start Here module that's going to go over this. And it'll actually walk you through that. And you have to make sure that you show your area. That way the computer doesn't flag you for cheating during your test. You have to have an ID, and you'll show that so that it won't flag you on the testing. Okay, make sure you're in a well-lit area and visible during the assessment. Lights have to be on. Make sure you're sitting at a desk so that the computer can see you from the chest up. You got to be fully visible. So just in other words, you can't be laying in your bed, propped back, your laptop is on your lap and kind of looking at you. It's going to just not do well with that. So just make sure you're sitting at a desk or a table or something. And we understand that sometimes disruptions can occur. You're taking your test, you're all getting recorded and everything, and a doorbell rings on the TV and your dogs start barking. Well, that happens, or someone walks in and starts talking to you. Okay, that happens. So just if that happens, say something like, okay, that barking was my dog and he's leaving now. Or my mom just walked in, didn't realize I was taking a test, sorry, and just move on. Okay, so just let me know what's happening, because when I go back to proctor those and check out everything, it's easier if I get a little explanation. All right, course calendar. The course calendar is a little bit further down, so it lists all these on there. And that's the no-show assignment, the lockdown browser environment quiz, and the discussion post assignment. These are what's due the first week, and there's points attached, so read over that. Module homework assignments, there's going to be 5 of those. They're worth 30 points. Module quizzes, there's 5 of those. They're worth 25 points. Okay, module exams, there's 5 of those. They're worth 50 points. All the quizzes and the exams and the final, they're all closed notes, closed book, close everything. So make sure you're putting everything away when you take those. All right, the cumulative lecture final is worth 200 points. It'll be on all the modules all the way from the beginning. Okay. All right, in this class, the final exam grade, you can use that after you take your final. I will look and see if any of your lecture module exams are lower than that, and then if they are, we'll replace that lower one with your final exam if it was higher. Okay. Also, if you were absent and it was excused, and so now you have a one lecture exam that you never took, that final exam can replace that one. Okay, so there is some leeway, but it has to be excused absences and stuff like that. Lab exercises, those are 10 of those. There's 10 of those, and they're 7 points each. Okay, you'll get the 7 points at the end of lab when your lab manual is completed or close to being completed. Lab quizzes, there's only 5. Those will be given at the first 10 minutes of class, and they're 6 points each. They're very short, and they're timed for 10 minutes. Okay. Practicals, there's 5 practicals, and those are worth 30 points. They are where you have a piece of paper with an answer sheet, and you go around to different stations. There's 90 seconds at each station. When the bell rings, you go to the next one, and you answer everything. Let's see. There's no extra credit in lab. There is some extra credit built into the lecture, so I'll point those things out later down the road. Let's see. This is the point values. The lecture portion has 750 points. The lab has 250 points, totaling 1,000 points. Okay, this breaks down how everything is graded. There is a dual pass policy in this class. So what that means is you have to score at least a 60% in all the lecture stuff, total average, and a 60% in all the lab exercises and quizzes as your average to pass the course. Okay, so if you get a 59 in lab and you get a 99 in lecture, you still don't pass the class because you did not pass lab. So this is a hard stop. So basically, if anything below that, you'll have to retake both the lab and the lecture. Okay, if you have any questions about that, let me know. Makeup work and late work policies. Because the lecture is online, there's no late work for that. And contact me if you're going to be absent and we'll discuss makeup work. But you can read through it there. Missed lecture exams or quizzes. If you miss something and it's excused, we can figure out a way for you to take it online. I'll send it to you online at a different link or something. If you miss a lab, there's really no making up a lab, but you can replace a lab quiz and so on. If you miss a lab, you can't get the 7 points back for the lab assignment that day. Okay, so try not to miss because it's just all these points add up, and even though it might be like 7 points, at the end of the day, that can make you not pass. Missed lab quizzes or practicals. Pretty much what that is explaining is that if it's verified and excused, you'll be able to replace it. If it's not excused, you get a 0. Now, one thing is if you know you're going to miss lab and something came up and you can't get there on Monday, as long as you let me know, you can go to one of my other labs. So, for instance, I teach Anatomy 137 on Lawrenceburg campus on Mondays and Wednesdays from 12 to 2. And then on Tuesdays, I teach those same labs at Newtown from 8 to 10 a.m. and 10:15 to 12:15. So around lunchtime. So basically 8 to 12. So if you know that you're not going to be able to make it to your lab, then you're welcome to come to one of my other labs. And it's the same exact thing. In fact, any of the labs that you go to, regardless of teacher, it's all the same information. So we just want to make it so that you show up at somebody's lab, and that way you're not marked absent. You get the material and you don't have an absence or missing a quiz. You just have to make sure that you email the instructor and get it approved. Okay. Let's see. Final exam. Everybody has to take the final exam. If you don't take it and it was not excused, you get an automatic failure for the class. If you didn't take it but it was excused, then you'll get an incomplete until you're finished it, basically. Okay. These are some resources that you can look over. Academic integrity. When we're taking a practical, keep your eyes on your own paper. Don't look around the room like your eyes are wandering. Just keep your head down, look at your own paper, and you'll be fine. This is the schedule. So here is the week with the dates of that week. Here's the module or chapter we're going to be looking at. This is the topics or the labs. This is the assignments and the due dates. Okay, so all the blue stuff is lecture. The green is lab. And the yellow is homework. So the homework, I haven't talked about that yet. These are assignments in Pearson, and they're worth 30 points. And I've scheduled them to be due a few days before your exam. That way it helps you to prepare. Okay, so kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So this week, all 3 of these things are due by the 21st. So the discussion post, the no-show syllabus assignment, and the quiz, the lockdown browser quiz. Okay. And then you'll go to your lab this week, whether you're on a Monday or Wednesday, whichever one is assigned to you in Lawrenceburg. And then we'll start week 2. Okay. So see here, we have a quiz on the 28th. These are going to be the lecture items that we cover next week. Okay. So far, I have up to here the lecture content video. I will get this by tomorrow. All the rest of these by tomorrow. Okay. And if you ever have any questions, just send me an email. This goes through the whole semester. Okay. So there's 15 weeks, 17. There's 17. There's 16 weeks actually, but this kind of counts them weird. And then this also gives you a list of the lecture due dates. You want to look at that. Okay. Other than that, that's all for the orientation for the class, and we'll see you in class.